It's time for Ask Your Auntie, the show that gets real with teen girls about life. They ask, and we answer with tea. Tools for excellence and achievement. The goal? To help girls make better decisions in real time. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie. Now here's your host, Marissa Terrell, Esquire.
Got questions? Ask your auntie. I'm Marissa Terrell, but you can call me Auntie M, and I'm the director of the High Tea Society Foundation and the host of this podcast, Ask Your Auntie, where we provide sugars, also known as teen girls, with reliable answers to their questions. Now, I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to speak with my play auntie, Ramona. Now, for those of you who don't know, the term play aunt or play auntie is a real phrase. It's found in the Urban Dictionary, and it means someone who is part of the family, but not an actual relative. Okay, Auntie Ramona, you've always been a part of our family.
Yes.
Right. So now how did you and Mom meet?
Well, though we're both Howard University grads, I believe a mutual friend introduced us, who is also a lawyer.
Okay.
Lorna John.
Right, Auntie Lorna.
Yes. Yes.
I have a whole network of aunties because I spent a lot of my young years sitting under the table or behind the door listening to your conversations.
Yes, and we knew you were there.
Oh, did you? I thought I was getting like real secret intel. I mean, but anyway, it's
we
great.
held back.
Oh, did you? What? Wow, that says a whole lot because I'm telling you folks, there was a lot of stuff that they talked about.
That's right.
It was really fun and informative, but it's really fantastic to have you on the show. Now, Auntie Ramona is like the fly aunt. This is the one with the quick wit and the bomb wardrobe, the one who drives a Porsche and sells $1 million homes. So what are you doing these days?
I drive a Mercedes now.
Oh, you drive a Mercedes now? Okay, so there's a bit of... I haven't seen and talked to her. An SUV.
So this is totally different image.
Yes. Oh, because of the family, all of the kids.
Family,
okay.
Right? The soccer mom.
Wow. So, all right, so that's part of what you're doing now. What else is going on?
Well, what isn't? Jessica, who is 16, is a sophomore at DC's brand new high school, MacArthur High School.
Brand new high school. Do y'all hear that?
There. Wow. It's brand new. It's very challenging because we need funding. There are those of us who are very active.
Okay.
And are more than happy and more than willing to contribute our own funds to keep the school going. We open with 9th and 10th grades only. So we need so much.
Where and what part of the city is this?
It's Foxhall Village, but some people think it's Palisades.
Okay.
But what I must say about that subject in terms of geography, our mayor came to a Foxhall Village community meeting at which she explained to the community, this is not a Palisades school. This is not a Foxhall Village school. This is a DC public school. Therefore, the funds are for our DC public schools.
Ooh, how did that go over?
It did not matter.
Okay.
And that's how we felt.
Okay.
Because we are not looking, we want to be welcome in the community. But as I always say, because I'm a realtor, if you want to control what goes on in a building, then you should buy it.
Well,
because we are there and we want to be welcomed. And therefore, we manage our children because even though they're teenagers, they're still our children and we manage their behavior. But we have to recognize we were all teenagers.
right. Well, I asked Auntie Ramona here to join us because I know she has the tea to help girls succeed. Not just because she's fly, but because she has survived high school, went on to college, and now is living her best life. But Sugars, what do you think about that? Remember our rule now. You cannot take directions from someone who is lost. So do you think she can offer some helpful advice? Let's try to learn a bit more about Auntie Ramona's high school years. We need to be sure that she actually went, okay? So, Auntie Ramona, what is your full name?
Ramona Alford Greene.
Greene with an E.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, where did you grow up?
Waterbury, Connecticut.
Waterbury, Connecticut. Do we even know where that is?
No.
Where is it?
You don't even need to know.
You know?
It's between New Haven and Hartford.
Okay, so this is above New York, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes. All right. Now, so when did you move to this area, to the DMV?
I think it was in the 70s, the late 70s, maybe 80.
Okay.
Like that.
All right. Mm-hmm. So when you, going back to Connecticut and growing up, tell me about, what was your family life like? Where did you fit?
I'm the eldest child.
Okay, lots of responsibilities.
But very spoiled. I'm the only girl.
Oh, there it is. Like what?
I have 4 brothers.
Okay.
And my grandmother and great-grandmothers were very influential in my life.
Okay.
And though they spoiled me, there was a lot of discipline. I remember my great-grandmother telling me to go pick my switch because
I remember that.
I was talking too much.
Are we the same person?
Yes, we are.
I stayed in my room almost my entire adolescence. Mom would be like, I know what you're about to say.
Right.
Go upstairs.
Right. I would get that finger too. Just hush. Exactly. So with my grandmothers, who were Pentecostal, I spent a great deal of time in church.
Okay.
My mom and dad bought their first home not in the neighborhood of my grandmother's and also not in the neighborhood where my father went to school. My father and mother wanted me to go to the same school that Dad went to, and therefore I was at my grandmother's house. And I never wanted to go home to their house.
What?
Because all my friends were in their neighborhood.
Of course, okay.
And I'm still friends with them.
That's nice.
All this time. So spending a lot of time in church created my moral character, my moral code. You know, we loved a lot in the Pentecostal church. We expressed our feelings in the Pentecostal church. We were 7 days a week. We would go down to the areas, even as a kid, I'd had to do this. We'd go down to the areas where people were doing less well than we were doing. And we would learn to help however we could. And the door was always unlocked. There was always food for those who needed food in our home, as in most homes. Speaking of my ancestors, my great-grand-aunt left South Carolina in 1930, sent for her sister, my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother had her daughter come up with her 2 sons. And where did they go? They went to my great-grand-aunt's house, which was a multi-family. She moved her family in, and the rest of the house was rented out.
Oh,
so
my
real
goodness.
estate started with me
at
super a very
early.
young age. Yes. And she would just wait for folks to come up from the South. And I don't even know how they advertised back in the day, but she never had an empty upstairs.
Oh, man.
It was all rooms, and the top floor was a loft. She would put a family up there.
That is amazing. But I can see that entrepreneurial spirit, but also the love. It's interesting that you say Pentecostal church because, you know, folks always say, yeah, I went to church and I grew up in the church. But when you grew up in a Pentecostal church, it's a movement. Like it is an entire...
There's a C word that I want to say, but I won't say it. But it is ingrained.
Yeah.
It is very much ingrained.
Yeah.
Lots of love, lots of community. That's the main thing. Lots of community, lots of expression, lots of communication.
Yes.
And that's how relationships are built. You know, all 3 of those. You've got to express yourself. You've got to be able to communicate.
Authentically.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was about. And speaking authenticity, no makeup. Just simple hairstyles. No makeup, simple clothes. Walk with your head up high, your back straight. That's how it was. Now, there was another section where the women would wear their hats and they wore makeup, and we weren't part of that.
I see.
Yeah, we weren't sophisticated to that.
Not yet.
I called us country.
I can't even imagine that. I can't imagine you country. Okay.
But these folks were from the South.
Yes.
And they were not even... They were just happy to be working. Because that was the whole point of coming from the South to the North. And that was for work. And they were not part of the makeup and the hats and none of that.
Sure. Okay. All right. So high school, what was that like? Was it a big school, co-ed school?
It was a big co-ed public school.
Okay.
And I would say many of us didn't come from I mean, I came from, had a household mother and father, but many did not in our high school, and that was blacks and whites. It was not, and it was not a lower socioeconomic school, but it represented an era in time where you went to an integrated school, but you didn't necessarily live in an integrated neighborhood.
Okay.
So we came together at school.
Got it.
And I was an honor student in elementary school or grammar school, as well as high school. And because I was in this integrated environment, I learned that blacks were not inferior to anyone. And in our community, as I said earlier, we have blacks and whites. We didn't have many Hispanics then, but it was mostly Italians, Jews, and us. That was really the makeup of the neighborhood.
Wow, sounds really, it kind of sounds like DC in certain areas, like the mix of people and moving, being able to come together in a school setting.
Right.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the Q&A segment, is there someone that you'd like to dedicate this podcast to?
Jessica. Pardon me, I refer to her as my very last child.
Oh, your very last one?
She's 16. This is my very last child, and that's why she has the distinction.
Yes.
This is it.
She's in an enviable place.
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right, so let's get into the questions. Here's the first one. How do I know if my boyfriend is right for me? Okay. Are there some traits that we should be looking for?
Well,
checklist, what?
I must say that I asked Jessica these questions.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, I told her I wouldn't mention her name, but I already did. Oops is right. I already did. And her question was gut feelings. I mean, her answer was gut feelings.
Okay. But as a young person, maybe she's sophisticated. Is there a benefit in having like an idea of how you want your life to be or how you want to be treated to sort of back into what you might look for in a guy?
I think that the modeling occurs at home.
Okay.
And if there is abuse in the home, that's almost like an expectation or something you can accept. Hopefully, that's not the case with our children. Hopefully, the modeling is taking place at home and is healthy modeling. School, for me, is very important because our children are spending many of their awake hours in that environment. So it's very important for us to choose a healthy, loving, and safe environment for our teenagers are challenging. And so the dean of students, the principal, the staff, the teachers, I take my hat off to all of them. I bring them cookies, to all of them, and I say, maintenance engineers get the cookies first. All of the desserts first.
Wow.
They have such tolerance.
I'm happy that you shared that. I'm thinking about also I remember when I spoke with my mom and as I was trying to figure out what's going to make a good spouse, not that I listened, but when she shared this information, I remember she kind of compared it to raising children.
Yes.
And she would say, what kind of child do you want at the end of the day? Do you want someone who's eager to learn, that's excited about things, someone who believes in a higher power, whatever? And then you would sort of then backtrack and say, okay, well, what kind of things do I need to put in place for this to occur, for them to be exposed to the proper, or whatever you were mentioning, modeling. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you don't have it in the home. So like maybe as I go through my checklist, I want someone who's generous with their time, someone who's a good listener, someone who has ambition, who's going to be able to take care of me, someone who, if I get sick, because, if you get pregnant, you do get sick, for a period of this. Some people do consider that to be a limited disability.
Yes.
You cannot work the way, at full capacity. Is he the kind that's going to step in and help? Do you think that's a good way to think about things?
For teenagers, that's a bit much, I think.
Okay.
To be that forward thinking.
Okay.
Because remember, they're hormones.
Right. So they're
that's their middle name. they're all over the place, which is why the answer was gut feeling, because that's all they have really to work with.
But gut feelings terrifies me.
But you have to go through it. I think we have to go through the feelings. Just like I said, I grew up in a feeling environment, in the church, and so but because that was in the church, you can trust your feelings. And that's why I was proud of that answer, because she's saying gut feeling. That means she's trusting her feelings. And feeling is not even a broad enough word to describe what all of that is. It's all about, is he criticizing me? Is he making me feel good about myself? Does he allow me to express myself? Again, right back to the Pentecostal.
Yes.
Am I allowed to express myself? Certainly for me, if that were not something that was welcome, it's not going to work, not with me, because I express myself. And so I think that the trust factor, they know without necessarily putting it in words. How does that person make me feel? It is about feelings, I think, as a teenager. Because we have to talk about their mental age as opposed to their chronological age.
Right.
And so in that stage of life, how mature are they? And the characteristics that you were mentioning, I'm not quite sure they know how to identify.
I don't know. I feel like that's what kept me on the straight and narrow, but I understand people are different. To me, I was like, I do not want to raise a child in high school. I knew this. So I said, I've got to comport myself in a way that's not going to happen. I knew that I did not want to be with someone who had multiple women, because I know I needed a lot of attention. Right. I knew this about myself, right? So, but I do understand what you're saying. It's hard sometimes because, they're still developing their brains, their reasoning and their critical thinking. All of that is sort of forming here. But you can see, I think cautionary tales can be helpful. No?
Indeed so.
Okay.
But what I feel, that's back to the modeling.
Yes.
A cautionary tale is to have safe sex. And I think there's more of that now. Smoking was very prevalent. Right. I think there's less of that now.
Less of nicotine smoking.
That's right. Nicotine.
Yes.
Cannabis is another subject.
Yes, that is another subject.
And also we have to keep in mind, in the bathrooms in our high schools, and maybe all schools, there are no cameras. So there is smoking going on. There's, hopefully, if there is sex, it's safe sex going on. There are no cameras. Teenagers know this, which is why you find some, the security has to be understanding of the environment.
Okay.
But again, I'm at our high school. I'm involved in my kids' lives, whether it's the Boy Scouts, whether it's soccer, and I'm around these teenagers. And you'll hear the conversations, and a lot of them just aren't thinking about dating. Some are. But the friend groups are not necessarily heterosexual boys and girls. They're mixed.
Yeah.
So it's a different time. And so I welcome the fact that they're all doing something different, yet they can be in the same friend group. Some of the friends are dating. Some are not even thinking about it because they only know freedom. They only know freedom, and they don't know what coupling would mean. They're not curious enough at the moment.
Okay. And
so you'll have your heterosexual, you'll have your homosexual, you'll have your athlete, you'll have your academic, you'll have your model who likes the clothes, who likes the makeup, and then you'll have the other swag. You have all of that going on. And it's all the same friend group.
Which is kind of fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel safe
as
a parent.
I feel
nice.
Safe. That is nice to have a bit of diversity, because you're trying to find yourself, and we know that you find answers to questions by just being around many things, being exposed to many things, so that you can formulate what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, here's another question. Should I take a gap year after I graduate from high school? What do you think?
Well, the answer again was no. Not from me, from the teenager.
Yes.
Do not take a gap year right after high school. Try college first. And if you think you need a gap year at
Then
that
do
time,
it,
after
okay.
the exposure, then do it.
Right.
Me, it's whatever works for the child. I have a friend, I'm in a mom's group, and we've been together for 11 years.
Wow.
And none of our kids are alike. We met at Hyde-Addison Elementary when our kids were in pre-K, 4 years old. And we're still together. And our kids are not alike. So one family is going to let their child have a gap year because he's a bit stressed. Other families are going to college, but different kinds of colleges. Other families are hoping that their kids go far away and mature. And I would like for my kid to go to Howard because I went to Howard, but at the same time, she wants to go far away.
Yes, I do understand that.
Yes,
I could not get out of this
yes.
place, but yes.
So that answers that question.
Okay. All right. I think for me, I pushed all the way through. I'm the one that just never stopped school, went all the way to law school. I think I could have benefited from a break from college to law school. I think that for me, if I look back, that might have been a missed opportunity. But either way, it worked out fine. But I think you need to have a certain maturity when you go to grad school, I think.
Yes, indeed so.
Because it's not just the academic challenges, there are the social challenges, the dating challenges, all that kind of stuff that comes up.
Yes.
All right, here's something else. I eventually want my own place. What should I be doing now? What should I not be doing?
How about getting a job?
They should be getting a job.
Finish your education so that you can have a career, let's say, as opposed to a job. Let's have a career. You want to have passion about what you're doing, which is why I've been a realtor for so long.
Yes.
I am passionate about what I do because there are so many aspects to the business. So if you can find that, just go for it. It's so important to be happy.
It's important to be happy.
Make more money.
That's true, but I love one thing that you had mentioned earlier, or one of the times when we were chatting was about the need for women to be independent.
Yes.
To a certain extent.
Yes.
To have, even though you might, couple up, get a significant other, to know in your mind that if I was on my own, I could make it.
Exactly.
It's very helpful.
and even if you're in a marriage, not necessarily marriage, couple, you have to know who you are. You have to know your value.
Yes.
So, and that starts young. So that by the time you are a teenager or in a relationship, you know who you are.
Yes.
You know what you can tolerate, what the other person, not just what you're looking for in the other person, but what that other person sees in you. It goes both ways.
True.
And you want to be happy. So you have to have a good job, save your money, have a good credit score, and then you can work with Ramona Greene to get your first home.
That's right. That's what I did. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Here, I know we're sort of about to close, but I want to sneak this question in because I love this question. What is love and how do I recognize it? We started talking about the love of family and the love that you experience in this Pentecostal church. Can you talk about that? Because folks are always talking about they're in love and they don't really go beyond sort of the excitement of it all.
Well, we have to know the difference between lust and love. There is a difference. And of course, lust can become love. One never knows. You have to be in it to know it.
Okay.
And I think there's a certain level of maturity. Again, it's the communication. How well are we communicating? That is a big part of love and longevity. How do you feel? I mean, love is, here again, is a confusion between lust and love. How does that person make you feel? Here I go back to feelings. If I don't feel excited, I'm not sure I can fall in love. I want to feel excited.
Right.
I want to have the intellect also. I also, you also want to make sure you're not the only one working.
Well, yes. That is very important.
I can love you more and better if you are a team player.
Team player.
That's right. And we're both contributing financially and economically and have the same goals in mind. Goals are very important in how we get there. So that's how I would recognize compatibility. How compatible are we? All of those things.
Do you like the same things? And not that you have to be identical, Because sometimes you can do the things that they like or whatever, but can you enjoy some of the things that they like? Like,
And that can be a trap.
Yes.
So
that's another episode.
That's another episode.
Okay. All right. So I recall talking to my parents about what is love. In our house, it was a verb. Like, so if you love your parents, that means you do what they say, within reason, right? They ask you to do the chores. I would try to say, okay, I don't want to do this. I hated doing dishes, but I'd be like, my mom is tired. She's got 3 jobs. You know what I mean? She's working around the clock. The least I could do is this. So to us, it was like putting money in your pocket if you needed something. That was what love was. They weren't big on saying, I love you. That just started later, like within the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine?
Yes.
It was always a action, because it was like if you didn't do something about it, what is it?
Parents are sometimes instructional, and we forget about the emotionality that people need, not just our kids and our spouses. People just need that. Like I said, my kid is homesick today, and I forgot to hug her.
Oh.
I forgot to show. I said, go to the medicine cabinet and you choose what you need according to your systems. Take a cool shower, and if you need an ice pack, put the ice pack on. I have to go. In the interim, I'm taking your laptop. You can stay home, but not with the laptop.
Ah. You are
So that's love.
That's love, folks. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to... do we have time for one more question? I don't know. Well, this might be super fast. What do you do to cheer yourself up if you're not feeling tip-top, not feeling happy, or you need something to pick me up? You need people?
Yes. That always does it for me.
Okay.
I need people. I have to be around people. And it doesn't have to be my mom group. And fortunately for me, I have different groups of people that I'm affiliated with.
Sure.
And I love where I live.
Okay.
And so sometimes I can just say, you want to sit out on the patio, or you want to walk down to the Potomac River. That always works for me, as a matter of fact. I'm walking from my house to the Memorial Bridge and back. Mm-hmm. And if I have a problem, if I haven't figured it out on that walk, it's not a problem. That always works for me.
What do you mean it's not a problem?
It wasn't worth my attention.
Got it.
The Potomac River makes me so calm.
Okay.
That I can go down to a measure of self. And I don't know what the formula is, but it works for me. Mm. It's the Potomac River and the movement of the river. And I walk back and I'm happy.
Love that. See, that's part of what I think the high school years are all about. Discovering the things that bring you joy, even just the rudiments of it.
Right.
And then being able to, as you get older, amplifying those things so that you can embed them in your daily life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Auntie Ramona, for sharing your tea with us. Growing up in D.C. is hard, but sugar, you don't have to do it alone. Join us every week for reliable answers to your questions. I'm Auntie M, Director of the High Tea Society. You can contact us on IG at High Tea Society INC, or by email hello@highteasociety.org. If you'd like to donate, we'd love that. Please text Purple Tea, one word, to 44321. We have the tea to help girls succeed, tools for excellence and achievement.
You've been listening to Ask Your Auntie with your host, Marisa Terrell, Esquire. The transition from girlhood to womanhood can be difficult without guidance. We have the tea to help girls succeed. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie.